Now we are going to apply the empirical rule. Now let's remember that the empirical rule says that 68% of the data lies within one standard deviation of the mean. And notice our picture up here, this 34% on the left side and this 34% on the right side represent our 68%. And notice that it's one standard deviation to the left here and one standard deviation to the right here. And then if we add this 13.5% and this 13.5% over here, that represents our 95% of data falling within two standard deviations. And then finally, if we look at this 2.35% right here and the 2.35% right here and add it to all of this in here, we get 99.7% of data falling within three standard deviations. And then notice that the only thing that's left over is this small percentage to the left and this small percentage to the right, both of them at 0.15%. So we're going to use the empirical rule and this picture, and you have one on Blackboard for you that you can also use to help us answer these questions. A population of men's height is normally distributed with a mean of 72 inches and a standard deviation of 2 inches. We want to know what percentage of men will be less than 68 inches tall. All right, now we are going to use the mean and the standard deviation in the empirical rule. So let's put our mean right here in the center. Our mean is 72. And I apologize, I don't draw too well with my mouse. And then let's label the mean plus 1 standard deviation and the mean minus 1 standard deviation. Our standard deviation is 2, so if we add 72 plus 2, this will be 74. And then if we subtract 72 minus 2, that will be 68. I'm sorry, that will be 70. I can't subtract. That will be 70. Now let's continue that process. We'll label this whole curve because we are going to answer 3 questions. So let's add another standard deviation to get our next mark right here. Let's get the mean plus 2 standard deviations. So if we add 2 again to the 74, this will be 76. And again, I'll add 2 more to get my 3 standard deviations in this direction. This will be 78. All right, let's do the same thing going in the other direction. If I subtract 2 from 70, 2 standard deviations below the mean will be 68. And if I subtract 2 again, 3 standard deviations will be 66. All right, now let's go back to our question. We want to know what percentage of men will be less than 68 inches tall. Let's notice 68 is right here at 2 standard deviations below the mean. And less than 68 is going to be everything to the left. And if we add up the percentages to the left of 68, we're going to have this 2.35% added to this 0.15%, which will give us 2.5. And let me get this out of draw mode to answer it. So that's 2.5%. Now let's look at our second question. We want to know what percentage of men will be between 68 and 74 inches tall. Let's notice 68 is right here at the end of the blue, and 74 is right here at the where the 2 pinks change color. All right, so we want to add up all of these percentages between 68 and 74. We're going to add the 13.5, the 34, and the 34 together. So I'll have 13.5 plus 34 plus 34. Let's see. That's going to be 81.5 if I've added correctly in my head there. All right, so now let's look at the last one. What percentage of men will be taller than 78 inches tall? Let's notice here's our 78 way at the end. It's 3 standard deviations above the mean. So the only thing that's taller is the people who are out here, and there shouldn't be many of them. So we want simply this little pink area here, which is 0.15%. And there's our examples using our empirical rule.